Thank you for turning to page 121. Today we're going to take a look at an old book from Travel to the New Era, Vampire Fleets. This guy came out in 95 for the princely sum of $16. Now, I have said I'm not a huge fan of the New Era and the post-collapse, the post-assassination time of Traveler, and that's true. But there's still some nice stuff you can mine from any era of Traveler, and this book is proof of that. We're going to take a look in this book today. Take a look at what you can take away from this for any Traveler campaign, and ways that even if you're running the post-collapse Reformation Coalition era, this book is where this book's going to help you. So today on page 121, Vampire Fleets. Vampire Fleets for Traveler of the New Era, the Virus Sourcebook. Virus is something that was unleashed at the end of the Rebellion Wars around 1130. Traveler, the New Era, jumps us ahead to almost the year 1200, about the year 1200, and we get to take a look at what's happened with Virus and where it is. This is the Virus Sourcebook. This book gave us the best insight into what the virus was and how it changed the Traveler universe. A lot of people love Virus. A lot of people hate it. I don't hate it. I see its value, but I also see that I don't want to run in Travel of the New Era. When this was out in the early to mid 90s, I did run the New Era. I came over to the New Era way of generating characters, and we ran in the post-collapse universe for a little while. It was just the way I took the campaign because that's where Traveler had gone. Ran it for a little while. A couple of members that were in that group had broken off not too long afterward. And honestly, I found that I wasn't that crazy about the New Era as a Traveler universe. Then GURPS came along and gave us the, hey, Strephon was not assassinated universe. And that's where I've kind of been with Traveler since. But there is still some stuff you can take out of Vampire Fleets. Virus was a big deal in the New Era. It was the God from the Machine, the Deus Ex Machina, if you will, for the New Era. And it was the rationale for what the Reformation Coalition was really doing. They were trying to go out and contact worlds for trade and for uplift and free them from Virus if need be. Some of the Virus storylines are pretty cool. If you have ever read the old Fred Saberhagen Berserker series, a bunch of sentient machines intent on ending the life, biological life in the universe. He did a bunch of books on those. That very much is the same flavor of the Virus era. So here we go. We've got the table of contents. This was designed and developed by Frank Chadwick. 1995. It's pretty good. Here's the Traveler's News Report. This was the similar to the Travelers Aid Society's news reports. And this gave us stuff that was going on in the main area, mostly ships that were missing or things like that. This is, I've got the receipt from when I bought this on June 6, 1995. And I paid $16 for it. So it's pretty neat. It gives us a lot of look at vampires. Why are they called vampires? Well, because once you have a virus-infected ship contact your ship in some ways, usually through the communications, then the virus spreads throughout your ship and you become a subordinate to that virus. That means it's spreading its infection like a vampire would spread to its victims. I've explained this to my son, my youngest son, who is a computer science major. I've explained the premise of Virus, and he gets a good chuckle out of it. He said, this isn't how viruses work, right? You know that? And I said, yeah, but hey, it's science fiction. So we get a lot of look at Sandman in here. And I mentioned Sandman because this is a virus that decided it was going to work with humanity, sentience other than virus, and give insights into what virus is and did. So there's a lot of neat sidebars with Sandman. Sandman pops up throughout the New Era books. He's just a virus that's working with the humans to eradicate some of the viruses. Most of the viruses have gone insane. They went early, somewhat, very early in the outbreak of virus. They went insane and became homicidal. Some became suicidal. Almost all of them went ahead and killed the crews that were aboard the ships, things like that. In the New Era, you've segregated your communication station from everything else aboard the ship. So even if virus gets in, it's only physically able to inhabit the communication area, which you can easily just destroy and replace. So it can't get into your systems. So staying with vampires, we get Vampire Highway. The Vampire Highway, I'm gonna fly it all night long. That's the old song, Life is a Highway. I always sang Vampire Highway. It's pretty neat. I like the idea of Vampire Highway. I don't know of a way to really include this in anything other than a kind of a post-apocalyptic traveler. But the idea that there's just a whole chunk of space where things are just lurking out there like sharks in water just waiting to pounce on you is pretty cool. I haven't figured out a way to really put it into the golden era of Traveler, but I'll come up with something over time. But this gives us a good look at vampire fleet encounters. The vampires tend to move in fleets. They used a playing card system with this. Ace, King, Queen, Jack, you would just draw, and that would be his hostility. So if you drew spades initially, then you draw an ace. So if I drew an ace of spades, he'd be a Doomslayer. And then I would look at what their valise are and stuff. I found that kind of odd in a game based on dice that we were drawing cards. That's one of the more questionable decisions I felt that they made. I understand, and pretty much everybody has access to a deck of playing cards, but I'm sitting here with D6 in my hands. Why wouldn't these be D6 tables? So we continue going on. There's some nice artwork in here, continuing the look of the original Traveler, which I'm never going to complain about. And there's some other nice artwork, and this is the whole thing of the motivation for the various encounters. So the GM would hopefully make this up and have drawn his cards and stuff before he got into the game. And we have some referees only information on the subsector, and then some adventures in here. So here we are, Highway 1. This is the first of 3 adventures in the book, and it forms a mini campaign. And that gives you the abstract of what your players are going to be doing there. They're contacted by the RCES, the Reformation Coalition Exploration Service, asked to take a mission of great importance where they basically try to infiltrate part of the Vampire Highway. The adventures were okay. It's a great, solid book. Again, the problem becomes the totality of the book. More than anything else, it wasn't something that grabbed my interest and held me. But the design of the book is fine. The writing is very good. If you're looking for alternate Traveler universe, something to plug into your universe, this book is very useful. This is the Planet of Promise. It's one of the main ports for the vampires. They have it kind of isolated from the rest of the humanity. There are humans living aboard that do nothing but serve the machines, and so, of course, humanity being what it is, some humans prey off of other humans for their own advantage. Some work with the machines, some fight against the machines. You can get into a Terminator kind of situation with this very easily, and I always felt that Travel to the New Era owed a lot, especially to the second Terminator movie, which was out in '91. I really felt that was kind of where they went with this. That's all I'm going to say on that. Some nice deck plans here, a little workman-like, nothing, no real flair here. So I was a little disappointed in the deck plans, honestly, and I love most deck plans. I do like the ISS Archer, which of course is virus infected, and going around hunting down other ships. If they can't infect them, they'll destroy them. The vampires, interestingly, do try to capture as much as they can intact for use as part of the vampire fleet, because attrition is doing away with the vampires. There's only so much they can do to continue to repair themselves, and they realize the need for new ships. This became one of the overarching problems for the RCES in Travel to the New Era. They were always trying to capture your ship. These are a bunch of profiles for people who've been born aboard the ship, have lived their entire lives underneath virus, and you get into some situations where they worship it as a god and others where they fear it. And you can do a lot of role-playing with that, but again, that's more of a darker post-apocalyptic campaign than I like to do in Traveler. And then we get to Promise. Promise is a planet entirely controlled by virus, and people are there to do nothing but work for virus and keep virus going and happy. Now, keeping in mind, this is something like 70 to 80 years after the fall of the Third Imperium. So these are people that are born and raised, and now a second, third generation of people who are born and raised, living underneath the viruses, and they've known nothing else. So they wouldn't even know that they were being oppressed necessarily, because, you know, that's what they've always known. So we get a nice map key here. This, again, I felt that some of the Traveler in this era had kind of regressed a little bit as far as the quality of the look of it. I think that could have been due to staffing and just the general situation at GDW at the time, 95. I know they were already having some significant financial problems. Here we have the Ascension Council. These are all the various machine programs that operate the Planet of Promise. Again, pretty interesting if you're looking to do some kind of post-apocalyptic thing. I even adapted some of this into a think tank for Gamma World. And I took some limited things from Travel to the New Era and plunked it into Gamma World because I felt it was a better fit there than in Traveler. So we go here through, this guy looks like a lot like Deathlock from the comic books. This guy too looks like Korvac. So we're seeing some comic book influence in here, I'm thinking. And just more about the planet itself. Some of the people that are important to the planet, important to virus or in the fight against virus. And then Escape from Promise is another one of the adventures on here where you have gotten into Promise and now you're trying to get out of Promise. So again, I didn't like the doom and gloom feel of the new era. That's my main complaint about it. That was a growing thing in the 90s, was just destruction and rebuilding. The idea was to kind of make everything new and fresh and bring in a next generation of readers. Marvel Comics did it. DC to a lesser extent did it. Definitely Traveler did it. D&D. Not always successful. Here's a nice touch on robots under virus, which is pretty neat because the robots, for the most part, are infected by virus and are going to be carrying out virus's orders. Could you change the switch from good to evil, like the Krusty doll in The Simpsons, or like the Terminator in the outtake in T2? Change him to a good guy by changing the chip. I don't know. It's really up to you as the game master. I just wanted to show a book that I thought was kind of neat, and I did enjoy reading when I was buying Travel to the New Era. Here's some nice look at some of the robots. I do use this. Again, I've taken some of these and plunked them into Gamma World because they fit beautifully in there, working for a think tank. So, and then Into the Maelstrom is the third and final of the scenarios in this book. I believe you're still on Promise in this one. And the headquarters Dawn base on Tribeca. So it's neat. I wish I could say more in a positive light about Travel to the New Era. From my perspective, it was kind of a bummer, which is unfortunate. That's not what they were going for. And I am not someone who dislikes post-apocalyptic stuff. I like it just fine. It's just that this didn't feel uplifting to me so much as everybody felt downtrodden, especially in this book. But there we go. The Imperium is dead. Long live the Regency. The Regency Sourcebook Keepers of the Flame. One of the better things to come out of Travel to the New Era. And I'll feature that in a future video. So there we have the back of the book. So again, Vampire Fleet's a neat idea. Something more for staying in the new era or even some other kind of post-apocalyptic space adventure. Even more so, I think, than Traveler. Unless, of course, you're playing Travel to the New Era, which is what it's written for. So I like it. I like ideas out of this. I've mined it for ideas for years, and I've plunked a few into my Traveler game and more into my Gamma World. Even Star Frontiers got some information that went from Vampire Fleets, and I plunked that into my Star Frontiers campaign. So just to look at a source book, I like this one. It's one of the ones that jumped off the shelf when I was looking through, hey, what could I do on Travel to the New Era? This is one of the ones I really remember enjoying reading. So I do recommend it. It's available through, I believe, DriveThruRPG, but I know it's available through Far Future Enterprises under Travel to the New Era. So yeah, if you get the opportunity to pick it up, it's a pretty fun read. So that's it for today from page 121. I hope you liked what you heard and saw. If you did, please like and subscribe. Please remember the Patreon, help support the channel, help it grow. And that's it for today, and I'll see you next time on page 121.